Thank you very much, Rafa. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time, week number 2 of Challenges Uprising, as we get ready to kick off this very exciting first match of the night. Mirage up against Wildcard Gaming. And well, of course, my name is Visions. Joined with me is Switch. We have switched the vision. We have envisioned the Switch. We've done it just about all as we get ourselves back in towards the virtual booth. I can't wait to jump in towards these matches here on the night with you, Jordan.
Oh my God. It's been too long. Visions, honestly. I love the memes that we've come up with now that you've come back to the league scene. I say come back. You've made a bit of a return, but you're like the veteran that's been brought back after all these years to do one last job. It's just one last job, Visions. For me, it's like, I see Sabe and I see Rafa, and they're all partying in the amateur scene. They're having a good time. They're having an amateur party. And I had to come and crash it, man. I'm the definition of amateur, man. If anyone's an amateur, it's me. You, on the other hand, Visions, you've been around the block in the FPS scene, man. You've been sort of moving up a bit. I don't know if you're still amateur enough.
Oh, man, I appreciate the gas very early on, Jordan. I do appreciate it. But, man, I'm excited to be back at the very least. There is a lot to break down. And, well, the analyst desk just did a fantastic job at doing exactly that. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to jump in towards the draft for this game number 1 across this best of 2. We take a look at some of these champions that have already been taken away. Mirage opting in to get rid of that Syndra, the Senna, and the Callista, followed by Wildcard Gaming taking the Varus, the Thresh, and the Yuumi. Lots of bot laners getting pinched out here within this first phase of bans.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, at the state of the game, I think you want to make sure that you're taking away some of those really powerful bot laners that can start to snowball down there. Because if you can get a bot lane ahead, that's getting 2 members ahead. I know I'm bringing in the big brain math here, but you get bot lane ahead, that's 2 people that are snowballing. That can affect the map. That can affect team fights as well. So it's just about making sure you take all the power picks off the table. I say that, but then Mirage is able to secure Aphelios, who is, in my opinion, pretty much hands down the best AD carry at the current patch.
That's a fair statement. I'm playing a bit of League of Legends as of late here, Jordan, and I've not had a good time in the bot lane up against that champion. And, well, maybe Wildcard Gaming are going to be able to draft something to be able to deal with it. We will find out. But the very first pick that will be locked in is going to be the set. Of course, the option to be able to flex this around. We've seen this champion played in quite a few different positions here. So this is going to leave up a little bit of versatility within the phase 1 draft. And, well, following the Aphelios, of course, up next has to be that Ezreal, and Wildcard Gaming. They're going to absolutely snap on that pick and lock it in.
Yeah, I mean, you were mentioning the pick, or rather the ban phase, they were getting a lot of bot laners off the table, but you still get, debatably, the 2 best marksmen on this current patch. It's going to be the Lulu going alongside the Aphelios, and man, oh man, if that does not scream powerful bot lane. You throw the Graves on top as well, and you give Mirage a couple of seconds to get some free auto attacks going through, and I think they are insanely scary right now.
Yeah, I mean, adding an enchanter here with this Aphelios is only going to make this champion that much more lethal if they're able to get towards the later stages of the game and be able to kind of utilize hitting that big power spike around 2 and 3 items. And obviously being able to complement that extremely nicely will be the enchanter. Picked up, though, is the Graves as well. So well, looks like it could be both of our bot laners as well as our junglers grabbed within this first phase. Of course, big question mark still on this set, as there's a chance it could still be moved around on the map here for us. So we will watch for that. But moving in towards phase 2, bans, lots of solo laners have to be picked up here for us, so we might start to see a bit of a pinch now follow through into that.
Yeah, I mean, for Wildcard Gaming, they've secured what is actually a really interesting composition here, where they're giving themselves a lot of engage, as opposed to Mirage that has basically just piled on the damage, piled on the potential to carry from the backline here. Wildcard Gaming, they've given themselves avenues to be able to use some of these engages, like the Glacial Prison, like the set Showstopper as well, to just get into the middle of enemy lines, to sort of take down some of these big carries in the backline and just play out the game from there. It makes it even better that you have probably one of the best self-sufficient marksmen to go along with it. The Ezreal could sort of fend for his own. You slap a death stance on that boy and you're good to go. And here is another pick that just screams Wildcard.
Does it ever? I mean, putting this right in towards the mid lane here is going to be very impactful. We got to see a little bit on the analyst desk about trying to be able to bring things back for this team that has not had the start that they've wanted to have. But the best thing, of course, it's just week number one. There's still a lot of opportunities to be able to recover within that week break that you do get, to be able to try and fix things up and try and get yourself back on track. But following up this Veigar pick, it's going to be the Kassadin here that's going to be able to utilize that passive pretty well up against the Veigar in towards the mid lane. So things could get pretty scary for both of these mid laners if things do end up going pretty late for us here in game number one.
Yeah, with Robbie Bob over here, I mean, usually, especially how Rafa pins it, he's that team player, but this time around, he is going to be able to carry and possibly carries across the map. You get that Renekton a great early game, and I think Mirage have themselves almost a full court press at this point. They have a great spike when it comes to the early game in terms of laning potential, but especially once you get to that late game, I think it all comes together. You transition the Renekton into frontlining, into being that stun bot that's going to be the bouncer for your backline, and I think you have what is an insane amount of potential for Mirage, and rightfully so. They're giving themselves the tools to be able to succeed this series.
Yeah, I love the word that you use there, tools, because you really do have a lot of tools to be able to take down at least this Aphelios, who is going to have some great positioning. We did already highlight, of course, the Lulu coming in towards the mix to be able to assist with some of this peel and maybe stopping the Sejuani and the Set that are looking to go completely balls to the walls on this champion to make sure he's not going to be able to do Aphelios things. But, you're able to now add a lot of global pressure towards the map here, grabbing yourself this gangplank at the very last pick in towards the Renekton. Yep. You can utilize those oranges to be able to at least make sure you get out of those stuns, but Renekton could still look to take over the lane if he does have any kind of assistance here from the jungler, and the Graves could also be looking at some great setup dives. I mean, Graves and Renekton, known for being a pretty strong combo that's going to be able to release a lot of burst damage and do quite a bit. So we could watch for that and towards the top side here, but more so having the ultimate on the gangplank is going to relieve maybe a bit of that pressure that they might look to set up around that bot side. More than likely, they're going to want to try to get their new AD carry in towards the mix here for Mirage, a little bit of a lead. Let him be the carry, as we've seen him do here within the past couple of weeks. And well, when he does get a lead switch, he can most certainly look to take over the game.
Yeah, let's highlight Asilian for a second, because this guy is just a bundle of potential right now, and to have it so early on in his professional career, I'm sure you've all heard that. He's a 15-year-old kid who's really making waves when it comes to the AD carry play. To have it this early on, this is proof enough that there really is talent in the North American scene if you're ready to cultivate it, and to once again have another win condition set for Mirage where Asilian does feel comfortable. He does have some of the tools around him to carry. There's a lot of threats, so it's not all of the burden of weight on his shoulders alone. I think this is a perfect setup for Mirage. Talking about Mirage, I mean, they did fall last night actually in the big league, and now is really the time to bounce back. Now is the time to really prove why they are favored by many people as being in the top four.
And I feel like right now what's happening, within the scene with, a lot of these teams that we have just alone here within the Challengers Cup, they're playing a lot of games, and it's not like it's just like you'd be playing, in previous seasons where you're playing your scrims and then you're playing, one big game or two big games a week. You're really kind of in deep water here, almost on a daily basis. It seems like, where you're constantly playing match after match, and they're always important ones. So it really does take, I think a really good setting here within the team overall, as well as a good coaching staff to be able to kind of guide some of these players that might start to go through a bit of a rough patch here where we're looking at for Wildcard Gaming, where they have been playing game after game here on a couple of weeks, and you really need to start to turn things around specifically within this league, because having a 1-3 start here within the game counts here across the board, I think is something that a lot of people did not really expect for the most part. Me coming in and starting to look at some of these teams as well and these rosters, I think you look at this roster on paper and you maybe don't think that they would have this kind of a start here within week number one, but it's still just week number one. This will be a big opportunity to kind of see exactly what they've really learned, what they've improved on. And coming up the podcast last night there with Command Attack, he was on the podcast with Cubby and Smacks. They had talked about how he thinks he's going to be able to bring things back here, maybe even get himself towards that top four placing nearing the end of the season. Definitely a bold call by all means, but you have to have that kind of confidence. You have to have that kind of mindset if you're going to be able to take down teams like Mirage.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to Wildcard, you look at some of the names, they really speak for themselves. it hasn't all really gone rolling quite as they had liked. The engine is still a bit cold, but you think about growth, you listen to some of the things that Command Attack said on the podcast. And I think when you talk about, from a team perspective, solving problems, they have such a brilliant view on how to really approach building up as a team, building up some of that synergy and communicating with each other. Hopefully that's going to come in eventually. Today is going to be the proof on if that growth is really starting to kick in and is going to put them on top.
Man, my heart's racing, seeing the champions run it on the fountain again, getting a chance to cast over some League of Legends, man. I absolutely love it. It is time, though. The wait is over, ladies and gentlemen. Mirage up against Wildcard Gaming. A big best of two here on the line for Wildcard Gaming in particular to see if they can at the very least try and take one of these two matches. Would put them in a great spot, but obviously you want to grab all the wins you possibly can. On the other hand, Mirage, they've looked great, they've looked dominant, and I don't imagine they're going to slow down for no one.
I don't imagine as well, man. And there it is, the lineups for the most part. We saw small early invade, you saw a little peak coming in through for Joey on the set, but aside from that, it's just going to be all quiet. Man, Visions, this must be, nostalgia central for you, man. How I don't, honestly, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how long has it been actually since you've casted a League of Legends game?
Oh, man, it's been a long time. I mean, well, besides my practice cast last night, I guess, but besides that, maybe actual live on stream, it's been a good amount of time, man. I think about 3 months, Joe said. It was the last time that we had done something together. Of course, if you don't know who Joe is, he's over on the left, and, well, he does some of the best production work that you're going to see. And, well, if you don't believe me, make sure you guys stay tuned because you're going to get your own personal look at it. But it's been a good amount of time, Switch, but, I'm happy to be back. And, well, as we say that, minions have spawned. Everybody is in lane. Both junglers will start on the same side of the map, at least for now, as they'll start rotating around here and seeing some early trades down and towards the bot side. I will find you trying to get that early poke off. And as we see Command Attack actually go for this lane swap, which is fairly interesting. They put Ezreal in towards the mid lane. They're going to keep the Vanguard down towards the bot lane, just trying to change things up and throwing these curveballs here against this Kassadin, who thought he had that favorable matchup.
Yeah, so this isn't actually that strange. We've actually seen other teams when it comes to swapping the bots and the mids, go for some of these cheeky plays, but I did not expect it, especially here now. And so it's going to be the Ezreal into the mid lane, and obviously you're going to have a lot more of that ranged harass coming through against the Kassadins. This is hopefully going to be keeping him down when it comes to CS. Here in the bot lane, it's really just Command Attack and the set alongside him. You're going to have a good amount of potential when it comes to all-in. And that's support when it comes to ganking. Visions, I know you're a jungle main, so how juicy is ganking a Veigar and a set? That's just beautiful.
It's definitely like a dream coming true. It's like everything coming together for you as it's just so easy to be able to set things up, just being able to provide so much to see, like you highlighted. But talking about ganks, Tony Top might have to expend the flash. He will get knocked up here. There could be a follow-up.
The flash.
Will be stunned first. Blood, beautifully done. Dragon is going to be able to grab that 400 gold, and already a great start for Shorter Ace on the top side.
Yeah, no kidding. Shorter Ace getting it done really early on. The TP expended just so that Tony Top does not fall too far behind. Remember, you think about the Renekton, and this is when he should be enjoying League of Legends. He should be having the time of his life, but unfortunately already shut down on the beautiful pathing.
This is the beauty of the cage right there, Switch. You can just see how easy it is to be able to have Joey walk right up. You find both members locked right in. You find yourself a nice favorable trade, at least off the start. So 4 minutes in. Great start here, at least at the very beginning for Wildcard Gaming, where they're up 1 kill. You have a lane that you can play towards. And I mean, we kind of talked about how you can apply a lot of pressure in towards this top lane, look to shut down this GP. He's also a champion that can be pretty abused on those tower dives. So something to watch out for, as Yami gonna path down towards the bot side, make sure that his bot lane has all of the pressure they need, all the assistance and vision, and well, they're going to have that perfectly done. So even if Sejuani does path down here, it will be very difficult to try and lock down a successful gank.
Yeah, just because Mist and Asilian are just constantly pushing, this is a prime opportunity for Yami to secure that Skull Crab, and he does just that. Let's talk about the top lane, because you were mentioning in Visions, this is getting the Gangplank off to a great start. And when we talk about this top lane, it is so snowbally once you get into some of those later parts of the game, especially when Gangplank is able to secure some of those prime items. Shorter Ace, this man is not stopping.
He is not. He's going for it all. Flash is Cillian now on the run. Shorter Ace did expend his flash earlier. A nice sidestep from him, but still, this is looking like it should be at the very least one kill going through. Can he take one with him is the question. Answer will be no. Flashing forward. Joey just barely survived. The auto not enough from I will find you. And well, I imagine he wants to get that one back as he expends the flash for it, but gets nothing.
Oh, and that just feels so tragic for the bot lane of Mirage. No summoners to their names. Just got confirmation, actually. Good heads up from Joe. 4 HP on Joey. Able to just get out by the skin of his teeth, man. That's so tragic. Mirage here in game 1. They're trying to get their engines rolling, but it is not happening just yet.
Yeah, we take a look at this replay, and I think it's off the back end of Shorter Ace getting some fantastic timing. We just saw the back through that came through there for Hayami, and he just unfortunately is not able to match this out from there. It's just about pretty simple to secure things out, and now Yami doesn't have all of the map pressure he was maybe hoping for in the early stages of the game, still farming up and keeping himself relevant and ahead in the levels, but most certainly losing out on a lot of this early map pressure, all of it swinging the way of Wildcard Gaming, and well, more importantly, off the back end of Shorter Ace, I think finding some great openings and being able to take advantage of the positioning. And talking about great openings, this is looking like another one. They're going to even invest the cannon barrage, and this could be a trade kill again. Shorter Ace is low, but he will make it out just barely with the help of that aftershock. Another kill goes over. This one gifted over to Joey.
Yeah, slim margins. Shorter Ace getting out alive. Doesn't matter. It works out yet again, and you're looking at a 3-0 Wildcard Gaming to start this one off. 6.5 minutes in, and they're feeling confident as ever. I think you've really got to give so much credit to the Sejuani pick here. Not touted as a great ganking jungler, but when you look at what he's combined with, once again, beautiful follow-up CC down there in the bot lane, the top lane as well. It's double melee. You can build up some of those frostbite stacks, and it all comes through for Wildcard Gaming. Now here to contest this early Ocean trade, the Hex Slash.
Joey's playing with Yami real quick here. There is no jungler that can match from Wildcard Gaming, but things are getting low. The TP is coming through in the back. There is going to be a close call, but it will be secured from a Cillian, and now they're looking for everything as they will find a kill. Looking for a second. The bot lane will pay as well as the jungler. Yes, they grab the Ocean Dragon switch, but they give up 3 kills for 1.
Yeah, how sick was that collapse coming through? Wildcard Gaming are on fire right now and really taking advantage of, I almost want to say, some greedy stuff coming through from Mirage. Sure, Mirage has been pushing their bot lane time and time again up to the tower. They've had control of that bot lane, but going for this dragon is just not the right call. It is seemingly timed with a back, but True Shot Barrage, first of all, takes one out. The teleport in the hands of the Veigar is going to allow this to be just about a fair fight, and that's actually going to be the Aphelios securing the dragon. Had to be. So Mirage still get out with the dragon, but it is 1-6 right now, and more action into the mid lane.
That was a beautiful sidestep that you just saw here from TX to make sure he does not get taken down from that collateral damage. Walks himself out, and that's a big one that, of course, Yami was looking to try and execute on. He finds that kill. He maybe starts to get some gold in his pocket, completes that jungle item, becomes pretty relevant on towards the map. Unfortunately, not the case for us in that current situation as they force the play, but do at least expend some summoners here for TX, and maybe can look to try and take advantage of that going forward here over the next couple of minutes. Well, that will be down, but we're starting to see at least Mirage still make some proactive plays, and that's the big thing for me, Switch. This is obviously a very talented team. They've put a lot of focus in towards the bot lane here. Cillian is not having the game he likely wants to have here due to all of this pressure raining down on him, but they're still maintaining at least some good opportunities to try and create some plays, and that's what you like to see from a team, even though they are still trailing here in this gold lead.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, Mirage, they just have not really stopped. They're not sort of pushed back by all of that aggression coming out from Wildcard Gaming, and they are going to be able to score this Rift Herald. You got to attribute some of that to the top lane differential. It's Gangplank constantly being shoved in. 1 kill to the Gangplank's name. It's not enough to save the whole lane. Renekton is just naturally a bully when it comes to that laning phase. CS differential right now is cruising along the 30 range, but you got to think, what if there wasn't a kill into the hands of Dragoon? What if it even went worse for Dragoon? How would it pan out in terms of that CS differential?
A good question. Shorter Ace hovering the bot side right now. Will throw out the ultimate as they're looking to try and blow up the Aphelios once again. And well, this might just be a 2-for-0 as there is command attack with the final damage and the abilities to go through another beautiful play down in towards the bot side as they are just punishing this bot lane time and time again. And now in towards the top lane. I talked about these dives that could be a potential play. They do force out the ultimate here, but Dragoon is still pretty healthy. Does have to be wary of this Rift Trail that can come out, and Hayami is going to invest it, but this first Tower of Gold most certainly should swing the way here of Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, let's really look at this trade here. First of all, successful gank from the side of Wildcard. Once again, they are not stopping this train at all, and this is a forced reaction onto Mirage. They have to split sides of the map. Their stronger side is towards the top lane. Dragoon on the gangplank, he respects it. He goes back, and that is going to be first Brick Gold at the end of the day, going over to Wildcard. No surprise there. That's the third successful gank, as a matter of fact, for Wildcard Gaming. And I think it's even more brilliant when you look at some of the win conditions for Mirage. Bot lane, Asilian, you know, this kid that we have built up as such a talented player. Right now, he's being shut down on the Aphelios. He's not going to receive the items that he really needs to thrive before his opponents, and this is a beautiful tactic already coming through for Wildcard Gaming.
I think the adaptation here coming into the draft, and like you touched on, we do see those lane swaps come into play here and there for us throughout the scene. But what a call to be able to make this. Yeah. And I mean, it's been off the back end of just applying the pressure at the right time from Shorter Ace. He comes down towards the bot lane. The cage is already set up, so you either have to flash away or you simply do not even have your flash up, and you just get put into so many great spots and able to secure a lot of these ganks. And now Hayami here on the run will be with Robbie Bob, where things are getting a little bit close. Does find a good amount of damage. Shorter Ace chunked down to half health. Following it up was a command attack, but he's not going to be able to land his Tech Stack GLP. So no slows land, no chase will follow, and everyone will simply walk themselves out.
Yeah, doing a good job just avoiding that gank for Mirage. They had no tower there, but with all that mobility at their disposal, they're not going to get caught out. Wildcard Gaming, they're around that area because the dragon is about to spawn in. When you look at the scoreline, when you look at some of the differential in terms of gold, yeah, this dragon should actually be going over to Wildcard. The question is, what's the reaction coming out from Mirage? You can see a bit of hovering around the top side, but Dragoon, man, just this entire game, he has been playing respectful, he has been playing intelligent, and he has yet to really be preyed upon by the side of Mirage.
Joey walks himself down towards the bot lane, looks for maybe a potential play on towards this Kassadin, who is going to read things pretty easily on his part. Vision cleared once again, so just not allowing him to be able to have this confidence down here, knowing that he is all alone in the 1v1. Will constantly be matched by Set, who's setting up some great vision down towards the bot side, and well, that's likely going to be at least the prepping of looking for this mid lane. They do secure themselves the dragon, which was an air dragon, and now from here on out, as you see the Instagram filter across your screen, it will be Infernal Dragons from now on, fighting for the red buff, as it does end up going over to Yami, but getting very low is going to be our Set player. Joey now has to take the blast cone over, trying to be denied, but will now invest the TP like you said, pressing forward. This is a 4v5. The cage is perfect. No one's going to be able to at least follow this up, as the Glacial Prison also invested. Nothing else being taken advantage of on the map. However, they do use the TP on Tony, and they don't get anything out of it here once again.
Yeah, and that engage from Mirage washing off like water. Now frozen from the Super Soaker, and Robbie Bob, he's going to have the mobility to get on out of there. Sometimes you get a little baited, but then you realize, oh yeah, Kassadin has like flash on a 2-second cooldown. That's right. Wildcard Gaming, they're still doing a great job of controlling this game. You know, summoners expended. You saw the teleports from Mirage, but the engage wasn't quite there. And that's actually a big flaw of the composition that I didn't expect to really be seen for another 15 minutes. You know, there's no clear engage. There's just a lot of damage for the side of Mirage. And unfortunately, right now, when Mirage are trying to play catch-up, when they're trying to pick fights on their own accord, on their own terms, that's going to be insanely hard when you don't have an engage to work with.
And even though we've seen the side of Wildcard Gaming hold the goal lead throughout this entire game. It almost doesn't feel like they're in complete dominating control per se with this, 2K goal lead that they've been just kind of bouncing around here and there. And it's been off the back end, I think, of the silent pressure from Tony Top. He's been shoving in the wave. Unfortunately, Dragoon is unable to be able to push up all the way to match this Renekton, or he might end up getting solo killed or getting jumped on for more than one member. So he does have to pay that respect. In the meantime, you have, on the opposite side of the map playing this 1-3-1 is going to be the Kassadin, who's just been matching up against this Vanguard, and he's so difficult to be able to actually lock down and chase that he's been able to get out of this cage very easily. And while all that happens, it's just been pretty much a farm fest here for Acelian, who's been putting himself right in towards the mid lane, positioning perfectly to make sure he is not taken down. And they're still seeing objectives go over. So this is by no means a loss. I think Mirage have been handling at least the early game pressure here fairly well within the first 15 minutes of this game. And now we see the second Rift Herald that is going to spawn. The first one did go over towards Mirage, where they invested that in the top lane to break down the tower. And now we might end up getting a fight here for the second one.
Yeah, that's right. Visions, the rotations are coming through. You can see Command Attack coming from the mid lane. And here we go. This might just break out into a big fight. Look at the flag, actually, from Tony Top.
This is looking good. It will be Command Attack trying to join up with his squad. Is a 5v5 fighting over the Rift Herald. Whether or not Wildcard Gaming are looking to contest this, that's the question. Well, they are getting close. It could be a 50-50. Shorter race is in, and it does end up going over to Yami. Now the fight breaking down as the Glacial Prison is thrown out, but only simply to allow them exit for now. As the chase could come through, Robbie Bob is setting up that ultimate. Tony Top is a little bit out of position, but has the tower with him to make sure he's not taken down. Now Yami going aggressive, uses the collateral damage, finds some good damage himself. Going all in, the showstoppers use will deny Robbie Bob any chance at trying to find the big play. Everybody fairly low, but nobody will go down. But the Rift Herald, however, will be secured for Mirage.
Chalk one up for Mirage, to be honest. Great win for themselves. They come in with a bit of a pinch. You could see Tony Top and Robbie Bob with the flank. That demanded respect from Wildcard Gaming. They were not there in time to secure the Rift Herald, so that goes over to Mirage. And you look at it on paper, and great play from Mirage. They were even able to get some summoners on the side. And you're absolutely right. Good on you, Visions, because they are not out of this game by a long shot. Mirage are kicking.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you just kind of just put your hands up over the goal lead right there, I mean, I guess over the kill count, 2-1-8 maybe doesn't look good from a visual standpoint, but at the very least, if you were just to erase maybe the whole entire top board for us and look at this game, you would most certainly think that Mirage are maybe, if not winning the game, are pretty dead even. And they have been able to slowly chip away at the goal lead here and there, but it's remained around 2K. However, the neutral objectives, like you're seeing on your screen, there has been just a much better, I think, dominating control that's come through on towards the map here for us from the side of Mirage, where they have secured now 2 elemental dragons, securing that very first Infernal since the Infernal Soul Dragons did start spawning for us. They've gotten themselves back-to-back Rift Herald in towards the top side, and we at least see a trade go over for this tower, but it still is just seeing like Mirage. They're getting ready to pull that trigger here for us, Jordan, and when they do, things could get a little bit scary if the side of Wildcard Gaming is not ready for it.
No kidding. As we get further and further through the game, you don't even have to keep your hand on top of that gold scoreboard, because that's getting closer and closer to even. It's been Mirage hanging in there. They've been securing a lot of CS on some of their side lanes. You look at the Renekton, slightly ahead. Same story with the Kassadin as well. Robbie Bob has been catching some of the side lane farm, and those are 2 members that could potentially carry, especially Robbie Bob on the Kassadin. You saw what could have been a massive play coming in for him around that Rift Herald fight. I think you slap 1 or 2 more items on him, and it really could be a dangerous walk for the side of Wildcard Gaming.
Dragoon scaling up on the GP, has himself the Triforce, getting closer towards that second item. You look at the Ezreal, who is getting close towards that 2-item spike that could come through here very likely around that 20-minute mark. But the side lane pressure, it's been so pristine for the side of Mirage. And now the Rift Herald with the combination of Robbie Bob getting the shove in at the perfect time. There was no one here for response. So the counterplay for the side of Wildcard Gaming will be to try and make a play in the mid lane, where they will grab the mid lane tower for the bot lane tower. But this Rift Herald is still alive for us, Jordan, and they might look for a second charge.
Absolutely, they are still rolling with it. Now playing a bit more cautious, because you're seeing all the members of Wildcard Gaming sort of dragged over to the spot side of the river. They had to respond. They are going to be able to make it in time. Shelly, just still going to get another impact, as a matter of fact. So great pushes. Mirage, once again, they're playing to their win conditions, which is right now their side lanes. Renekton is not yet losing to the Gangplank. RobbieBob has a bright future ahead of himself on the Kassadin, and I think eventually, once you get to a certain point in the game, no one's going to feel comfortable on the side of Wildcard Gaming responding to RobbieBob on the Kassadin. You know, you just reach that 2 or 3 item power spike on Kassadin, and no one really wants to be isolated with him anymore. You can try for some collapses, but then you remember it's Kassadin. It's a question that Wildcard Gaming are going to have to solve. Yes, they have the engage. Yes, they have the tools. Can they pull it off, though?
Will be the question. They do at least find themselves a favorable trade in the mid lane. You'll always take that mid lane tower for one of the side lane towers. Yeah. Be able to open things up a lot more. This wave now shoves all the way in, netting them more pressure in towards the red side and blue side. And that's exactly what you're seeing on your screen right there as we now see a play actually in towards the bot lane here. Yami is going to get right behind Dragoon, who is caught out of position, and well, he's very likely going to be going down. He does have the flash. He got to try to make some fancy plays happen. Has some good timing on the barrel. Going to find the slow and get the movement speed. And the top side, there is no counterplay as of just yet. And now finally there it is. Acelian is low, and that's the Q snipe that comes off the back end of the arcane shift. Yak's able to take some big advantages here from his junglers engage in a beautiful play, which might just lead to a Baron call.
Yak with the snipe. Beautiful play in Wildcard Gaming. The door is open for themselves. They pull the trigger instantly. TP's now being pulled. This is the reaction.
This is going to be very scary. RobbieBob out of the fight just about right away. Wild Growth was invested. Joey on the back end. He's looking to chase down Hiyami. Will use that showstopper, but only puts him in the wall for now. He does manage to flash away, and now the damage in return. TX will be able to take down RobbieBob. First one of the fight in this very long extended fight. Won't result in the Baron going through, but more and more gold now in the pockets of Wildcard Gaming.
Wildcard, 2 big wins, and that's a big threat that they had on the table at that point. Great response from Mirage. Really just a play that needed to happen. They had to expend the teleport there. They had to show up in form, and unfortunately, they lose another member. They give over another chunk of gold, and hey, at some point in the game, for the side of Wildcard Gaming, this is reproducible. You can keep coming back to this Baron again and again as long as you have control over the map. And right now you can see, oh, I love this play right here. 2-shot barrages have been on point, but look at the snipe out of vision. Here.
Man, what a sharpshooter. What a beautiful play from TX. And then, yeah, you see the rest of this replay that breaks down. And this is just the back end of a TP that comes through, a double TP actually, in fact. The gauge is just perfectly set up. They run right in towards all of this damage right away. And then Joey tries to get the flash from behind, goes for the RKO, but unfortunately puts him into the wall. So Hiyami able to flash away from that, but RobbieBob gets caught up for that second kill. And well, all of that ends up leading towards another neutral objective going down on towards the map. This one, however, over towards Wildcard Gaming, where both teams now find themselves at 2 elemental dregs apiece. So still in a great spot. Who's not in a great spot is Hiyami, as I think you are dead, my friend. And that is the jungler out of the picture. They have RobbieBob down in the bot side with no TP. This will most certainly be another Baron call.
Yeah, it's going to be started. Tony Top lurking and waiting. That bot lane 1v1, it actually goes in favor of RobbieBob. This is halfway down on the Baron.
Will be the Moonlight visual, finding some good damage. Tony Top trying to get in. Now they just need to try and get the secure. There it is. It's secured away from Shorter Ace as they're trying to clean up the fight. They take down 2 more on top of the Baron. Acelian. Oh, I've seen this story before. And well, Tiaxi's been so good with his Qs. And well, once again, he's good as he will find the 4th kill. It will be 4 down as well as the Baron as they start marching down the mid lane.
Yeah, the cleanup crew comes in form. TX with some of those final kills and visions. This really was a game about who could find their win conditions sooner, and Wildcard going back to the Baron time and time again, putting Mirage into uncomfortable position after uncomfortable position. Finally, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back here. This is going to be the big purple buff going in favor of Wildcard Gaming. And the world just feels like their oyster right now.
I think it was Smax that picked up command attack, if I'm not mistaken. And Smax has got to be smiling right now, along with Well, it's unfortunately not going to be Rafa. I believe grab Robbie Bob, as hopefully he's going through it right now, getting himself a little bit of a laugh here. He put all his chips on towards this player, but the game is not over by any means. However, very much in the driver's seat is going to be Wildcard Gaming, sitting pretty, looking to fix up a lot of those mistakes from last week. And, well, they're starting to show me as well as everybody else that they have fixed up quite a few of those, finding themselves some great waves in towards game number 1. So we hit that 25-minute mark. Now we're going to start seeing those caddies come through every single wave for us. The Baron's still very much active for another minute and 25 seconds, and they're looking to siege through the mid lane.
And it's all really starting to come together for Wildcard. This push about to commence. It's so difficult as well. Look at all the range that you're getting for free on the side of Wildcard. Mirage zoned out a bit. They're able to clear, but this push is not going to stop anytime soon. You're actually going to see Dragoon respond to the Renekton in the top lane. I think by this time, you no longer have to worry about the Gangplank versus Renekton matchup. This mid lane tower is being chipped slowly, step by step, and eventually it is going to be the opening for Wildcard.
Still 45 seconds to play with this Baron, but not finding a whole lot of success to break open the base itself. And while all that happened, I mean, Renekton was able to start going up towards that top lane, started off that split, and ended up grabbing himself a tower in the mixture of all of this. So you're putting yourself in at least the best possible spot you could have. This Aphelios starting to get online as you see that 2-item spike now come in. That is the Hurricane. The back comes through for command attack, does have the TP to come back, and the call will be made. So they're going to look to maybe make one last push through the mid lane. They want to break open the base off of this Baron buff. It won't be easy. They throw out the Spooky Ghost, will land some slows, but the wave not totally there to follow up this play just yet. And now they're going to actually be on the back foot here as this Baron is going to expire in just a few more seconds. They will not be able to break open the base. So this is fantastic defense set up for Mirage to make sure they do not lose any kind of an inhibitor.
Yeah, how tragic is this as well? Once Dragoon on the Gangplank finally reaches top lane, Baron buff expired. At the very least, that is going to be the skewer. The ultimate comes down from Aphelios.
Might have spoke too soon. Biting my tongue as the fight is breaking down. Asilian is low, but not out of the fight just yet. Good poke coming in. That will be Jackson goes very aggressive, trying to heal up as it will be the Graves on the front line. Going more. That will be Robbie Bob has to rip walk away. Everybody taking so much poke damage out. Tony Top gonna pull the trigger. First one out of the fight will be Dragoon, but no follow-up as they do break open the base for a switch, but they do not grab the inhibitor in response. It will be Mirage that takes down one member for the Troubles.
And again, Mirage defying expectations to find the gold lead, the scoreboard, the items, what have you. This is just clean gameplay coming through from them, and this is what you want to see in a remarkable team. It's how to come back from a deficit. Beautiful ultimate Moonlight Visual coming out from Asilian, and while he's not able to get in range, it's the collapses that come through time and time again. It's the balancing of the aggro from Mirage that's allowing them to finally find the pick onto Dragoon.
Flash that comes in to secure it. Tony Top, but we're not done. We got more action coming through. Yami is going to be taken fairly low, but gets the wild growth to make sure he stays healthy. That will be command attack, has to flash away. Bicep trying Dragoon now coming right in towards the mix. The cannon barrage is down. They're looking for the damage. Asilian is taking everything up, but he can't take all of that GP damage as the bot lane is going to be deleted and taken out of the fight. This Infernal Dragon is very high priority for both of these teams, but you are fighting from a very big disadvantage. You're looking at Robbie Bob to really find some big heroic moments in this fight, as it will be the Dragon taken down to 3k HP, getting very low. Engages there. The Showstopper is out, and the Dragon is secured as even more damage is following, but no one else will be taken out of the picture as of just yet. It will still be Wildcard Gaming very much in control of this game as they put themselves just one Dragon away from securing the soul.
This is such a brutal game. Beautiful game coming out from Wildcard on this one. Mirage to respond, but that damage is starting to creep into the comp for Wildcard. Look at all of this combined effort coming out. They're able to take down the Lulu, take down Asilian as well, and those are two really big parts of your composition for Mirage. Just gone, deleted. Mirage stuck around, hoping they could get that third Dragon going for themselves, but unfortunately, this is just about soul point for Wildcard Gaming. They are so close to getting that oh so powerful Infernal Drake soul.
Not only that, but the second Baron is looking pretty juicy right now for the side of Wildcard Gaming.
I
They're
admit
setting
that,
up for it. They're getting ready for it. And well, Joey is also getting ready to go for an engage. Robbie Bob in a bit of trouble, but does take the Rift Rock over the wall. Not going to take too much harass for his Grop that I believe did end up getting stolen away. But now the call on towards the Baron. You do have a TP that's available here for Tony Top, so he can enter in towards the fight. And well, there is the TP. He's looking to make the flank deep in towards the back line. Still very healthy Baron. Will they force or set up an engage? Yami in the front line has the wild growth from the Lulu just in case things do get a touch too scary. And the TP is invested. They are going to be able to ping this. They must know that this has been used and utilized here from Tony Top. And what a play it has been, as they might even look to chase things out in towards this top lane, but switch. They're going all in. They're going to invest the Cannon Barrage. Tony Top in a little bit of trouble, but even so in the back line, Command Attack's been taken down to him at 20 HP, and he is out of the picture. Robbie Bob takes him down. Showstopper's huge, but it's only to close the gap. Joey is still alive, but now that's going to be Yami who finds the second kill of the fight. Everybody is dropping like flies. It's all up to the carries. Can TS make the magic happen? That will be another shutdown, and now it's all up to one lone sum, but that is it. The ace is down as we see Mirage fight back and will fight for their life as they can now turn their attention to the Baron Nasher.
Oh my gosh, Mirage. Gold lead be darned on this one. They don't care. They come out with a beautiful play on the backside. Wildcard Gaming, you just gotta respect the mobility coming out from Cassidy, and it just was not respected enough. Robbie Bob, the danger looming in the distance, the storm about to arrive. Well, it's actually arrived. You're taking a look at the replay here, and it was patience coming out from Wildcard. You know, they could smell it in the waters. They were able to find a pick on the Renekton, but it turns out Mirage gets something even better.
See how this fight, is all about chasing Tony Top in towards the top lane itself. While all that happens, Command Attack is just left all alone, and the trigger gets pulled in towards the back line, and on top of it, Tony Top doesn't even end up going down, Jordan. They just simply are unable to find enough damage to really find any kind of full-on secure on the kills. And that will cost them an ace as well as the Baron. And look at that gold lead, ladies and gentlemen. It has been in control the entire game from Wildcard Gaming all the way up towards this point. The gold lead is now going to be slightly in favor of Mirage, where you're starting to see these big power spikes come in. Level 17 now for Robbie Bob, as he has all of that extra damage built into that Rift Walk. You have the Aphelios closing in on that third item where he had a slow start but is bouncing back. Things are looking great. And with the Baron, they're looking to start taking some towers, starting with this mid lane.
Man. What a wild game, Austin. If I put my chips in, I'd be like, taking them out right now. I'm not putting any bets on this game anymore, because much like, the team on the red side of things, this game really is just a wild card in the making. I cannot tell who's going to win. Robbie Bob, he's slowed up, but he does have the mobility to rely on. Is it going to get him out?
Robbie Bob, he's got some Rift Blocks. I mean, I think he still makes it out of this. We'll see, as it will be a lot of damage that follows down. He's going to use the Archangel Staff. He's gone. He's gone. That's a level 17 castle win, as we'll call it. And we'll look at the mid lane, ladies and gentlemen. Wildcard Gaming have completely left all this pressure up for the taking, and that's going to be immediately taken advantage from Mirage as they break in towards the base. They do find the mid lane inhibitor, and now maybe the force of the fight comes through. That's a lot of damage. The pop's coming in, but he still stays up and alive. Bob takes down Command Attack. First one down to the fight. Shorter race is low as he is no longer able to stay in that front line. Robbie Bob still up and alive, and he finds so much damage. We'll be able to pop one more. That is going to be now everybody down except for TX. But TX is sure to fall. The comeback was there. Mirage trailed the entirety of the game. But when it came down to it, they made the correct calls. They went big. They made the heroic plays. And they will find the nexus for game number 1.
Mirage. And for Wildcard Gaming, the lead nothing more than a hallucination. A mirage, if you will. That's gonna be them taking the first game here. And Vision, I'm gonna pop this to you right now. If you want to demoralize the team, I think that's the play right here, to be honest. That was just so tragic time and time again. You know, you gave some false hope over to Wildcard. They executed a beautiful early game, but it never really actually gave them a tangible advantage. Even had the Baron buff in their hands, could not translate that into enough of a lead, couldn't even get an inhibitor off of it, and it was Mirage time and time again with not a gold lead, not an item advantage, not even a certain, you know, counter pick in terms of 1v1s. It was just creative play. It was collapses, and it really all came through here. Mirage, you even look at the damage, man. It's not even in favor of Mirage. It's Wildcard getting the poke down, but Mirage, when it came to all in, it was them shining.
You know what, Switch? I'm with Rafa on this Robbie Bob hype train here, man. He's got the late game Casa win that comes in towards the mix. He does so much absurd damage in all of those late game team fights, and just the mental fortitude to be able to work yourself back in towards that game where they were still remaining proactive. They were still contesting and taking away neutral objectives. It was just so beautifully done from them. You saw them grab that second Baron, and from there, it was just about lights out. There was nothing left in the tank, enforcing for Wildcard Gaming in that very first game. But at least there is a best of 2 to play for us at the moment here, Jordan. So there's still a chance to try to redeem yourselves and go 1-1 in the score count for this best of 2, but things most certainly looking very, very difficult. So for that being said, we'll now step away, take a little bit of a break and a pause, throw it to a commercial break, and get ready to set up this best of 2. So make sure you guys do not go anywhere. Do not touch that browser. We'll be right back after the break.
Back in Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you're chasing, it's deep in your bones, go and take. They will remember you. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave, the one falls, steadily the end. So higher and higher you're chasing.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, off of the first game of the day between Mirage and Wildcard Gaming, I'm just going to say, I'll sleep on Robbie Bob. That game, all him, baby. I'm telling you, that's why my first pick was for the Robbie Bob. And for those who did not catch the pre-show for today's segment, in fact, you know, why don't one of our lovely producers throw up the fantasy draft graphic that we had earlier today, just to remind people what we've got going on for the rest of the season here is we had a little draft for all the players in the streamed games today, and my first pick was for Robbie Bob. And even though he was on that Cassidy, you know, early game, you know, things were a little looking shaky, but then he popped off. I even have a little spreadsheet here just kind of tallying the points so far. Right now, I'm rocking 43.94 points, and you guys are sitting at 20.0 and 2 smacks, and Cubby's sitting at 29.16. And I don't know, guys. I'm just letting you know your jobs are looking a little bit on the line right now.
Well, what I do have to say is that we all got the first game right, technically. So,
That's true.
we're crushing it. Yeah.
But with that, because we all predicted Mirage to win a game, and we all have one of their players as well, I can definitely say that we were all kind of sweating with that early game. That was definitely an interesting one. It did not look like we were going to be right with how that first little bit went. Jeez.
Yeah. I like we've got a Cillian apologizing in the chat. Don't apologize, dude. You got the win. This is just for fun for us and for apparently Rafa to just rub it in our face that he's smarter than us, which is a classic. But
I don't do it too often, but when I get the opportunity to, I've got to just sneak it on in, punches. It just goes to show that desk hosts can just be as smart as the analysts that they hire. But continuing on, let's break this game down a little bit further. Let's start with this early game and looking through the perspective of one player that we did not think was going to be on our radar much. It was Shorter Ace here, Smacks.
Yeah, Shorter Ace was playing the speedrun Sejuani in this game. He's just going left and right. You never know where he's going to be. He's going to get top. He's going to get mid. He's going to get bot. He's literally everywhere. We were talking about, if you're playing Sejuani in the early game, you are usually lucky. By the way, that clip was insane from TX. Crazy shot. That was a blind Q. If you're playing Sejuani in the early game, you are usually lucky to get one successful gank off before you hit level 6. Shorter Ace got 3 of them, 1 for each lane. Completely absurd early game from him. You just absolutely love to see that. I also do want to give a quick shout out to TX again, because I am thinking that Rafa cheated because he heard that AD carries get less experience than mid laners, so TX swapped to mid. I'm pretty sure Rafa cheated with his fantasy. I think he's pulled a string
listen,
somewhere.
buddy, I'm going to cut you off there. I played this fantasy draft fair and square. In fact, I took the last one because I'm the oldest one on this desk. So the fact that you didn't go for these 2 picks, it's your fault. You guys are investing into the 100 Thieves hype train. You still have a series later on in the day, but I invested in for things that no one else is going to jump on. That's true drafting genius right there.
I mean, yeah, you are just the big brain host. I'm just an analyst at the end of the day. I can't compare to you, Mark. So
also, Rafa implied earlier that he's hiring us, so we're also paid by Rafa's. So now he's just beating us at our own game. Just it's really just demoralizing at this point.
Oh man,
it's okay.
But yeah, that early game from Shorter Ace was absolutely disgusting on a Sejuani of all things, and I really want to highlight it because, like we were talking about off the air here, just in our call, this is something where you are not going to outscale the Graves. You will get out farmed. You will get outscaled eventually, which, did happen. But it wasn't for lack of trying from Shorter Ace. He was 1-0-6 in the early game on the Sejuani. Astounding performance in the early game. You really do love to see stuff like that. And take really creative risks and gank patterns with these scaling tank champions.
Yeah,
But
and diving into that, it was a great early game from Wildcard. I'd love to swap out from them. They played the first 23 minutes of the game so well, and then Robbie Bob hit level 16.
don't sleep on Robbie Bob, ladies and gentlemen. And we were talking about it as the game was going on, that the way that the early game was being played out by Wildcard Gaming, it was fine, right? The side of Mirage was built for scaling, and the fact that they had such a huge scaling composition is kind of atrocious in itself, because they're basically saying, Wildcard, you cannot punish us enough early on to close us out in the game. And unfortunately, the bluff was not called successfully here by Wildcard.
Yeah, and this is when Robbie Bob hits 16, just makes command attack disappear, pulling off the magic trick that I'd expect out of Viger, that little ball of evil. But now Robbie Bob just starts cleaning up the fight, and they were Wildcard was doing such a good job of punishing Asilian Splash. They had tools like the Gangplank ultimate, the Viger to really control the Aphelios, but once Robbie Bob hit 16, it really broke that game plan, and Mirage just ended up breaking the game wide open.
And even with that creative use of the new Alcove Blast Cone, not going to be enough to save TX there. The outscaling comes in. I really did like that lane swap where they did put the Ezreal mid, but and it accelerated TX to a great extent here. We were looking at it at one point. He was 4 levels up on Asilian just with that mid lane experience. That was just nuts. But if you're a level 16 Ezreal and the enemy's a level 16 Kassadin, it's still not close at the end of the day. He will just teleport all over you, completely destroy you. In a 1v1, in a 1v5, he got out of that one, which was pretty awesome with the tenacity and the ultimate at level 16. Just if you're letting Kassadin get to that point, then I've got some bad news. He will do that too.
Yeah.
I think we've all had those solo queue games where, the Kassadin was drafted by the enemy team, and we were just like, hey guys, let's just play aggressive. Let's just try to close out the game. Kassadin is going down 0-5 games, and then, basically it just looks like what Smax's webcam looked like after he hits level 16. It's just a gray screen. It's even just, for some players, depending on how well you're able to manage your mentality, you might just punch your screen afterwards, and then it'll look exactly like Smax's webcam right there as well. So, Kassadin in late game, in solo queue, in whatever scenario, if he gets to 16, you better start praying, because you're not looking at a high likely scenario of being able to come back in that game. Now, getting ready for game 2 between Wildcard Gaming and Mirage. Hopefully, Wildcard Gaming, they have some things to play off of. You mentioned TX being able to roll swap to the mid lane. It seemed like an advantageous position for him to be in. Command attack even looking comfortable being in that bot lane, receiving less experience due to sharing it with Joey on the support role. If TX gets something maybe that's a little bit more proactive, I want to pick your brain here, Cubby, in terms, because you have some coaching experience yourself looking through TX's champion pool. Is there a possibility that he goes for something that's even more deadly in a solo lane?
I mean, something that is his favorite and the specialty for Wildcard is going to be that Tristana, right? It ended up making the ban list in that game 1, and I'm curious to see. There's a very strong possibility of a side swap here if both teams think that blue side's stronger. Each team gets a choice of side, so if Wildcard ends up going to the blue side, they get their choice of AD carry, and I'm curious to see, if they end up first picking that AD carry. Felius was first picked in game 1. Maybe they get their hands on that. Or they can always hold off and try and counter with a Tristana and hold that flex for the solo lane, which has been very good for Wildcard in the past.
Yeah, it's definitely a really cool strategy to come out. We were like not expecting it until the game actually did come in, and then we see the Ezreals go mid, and we're like, whew, this is some big brain stuff right here. And it actually was.
It was really smart.
Super clean. And Veigar's just one of those mages where you can take him bot lane and you can have that great effect. We saw it out of the ganks from Shorter Ace as well. You just lock him into that cage. What's Aphelios and Lulu going to do? They can try to flash away, but it just didn't work. They had the flash to follow with the set. They had the Sejuani CC as well. So if they can pull out strategies like this, then that's definitely an advantage that Wildcard do have, especially on that blue side where they can get a little bit more of the powerful champions in early. Maybe we can see a Syndra. That's the premier champion that can do what Veigar did in this game. So we could be seeing something like that. I do, though, want to highlight here, like we were talking about before the game, the Graves was really interesting how it was chosen in this draft. It wasn't banned on both sides. It wasn't first picked on blue side, and it wasn't picked on red side in the first rotation. And at that point, if you're like a draft coach in this meta, you're like, what? this is making my brain hurt. I don't know what's going on. Why is Graves?
Yeah,
they forget. And yeah, they picked a third. And if that's a thing that's going to be a trend in these drafts, then I have some bad news for Wildcard. Graves is kind of busted. So
yeah. Well, to be fair, Smacks, Wildcard Gaming, we did highlight at the beginning of the show today that Wildcard Gaming is one of the few teams that doesn't prioritize those meta junglers. So for them, they have their own meta that kind of revolves around specifically that roster, right? Shorter race, and maybe Mirage just having the good intel and the adaptation, understanding that, hey, we don't need to ban Graves. We don't need to pick it right away because there's no way that shorter race somehow starts suddenly playing Graves. They want to prioritize more team-oriented picks. Skarner, and then this game was the Sejuani, and he looked pretty damn good for the first 15 minutes, right? It's just, unfortunately, it wasn't enough to close out the game and prevent the game from going to the point where Robbie Bob and the rest of his team scaled into those powerhouses that we have. And so... Robbie Bob Diff. That's all I'm going to say. Now, Mirage, I don't know if they're going to have to make much adaptations. They were losing a giant portion in that early game, but the fact that they were able to hold on speaks to me saying, you know what? If they feel comfortable running back that draft, they can. And we're just going to have to see, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready for Game 2 of the draft. Visions and Switch will be guiding us along the way. Take it away, fellas.